Hello again guys, what's up? It's Vivs here from Design Coder. In the last video, I told you how to set up Genymotion so that we can run our Hello World app in a slightly faster emulator. In this video, I plan to introduce you guys to Git. Now I'm sure you're wondering, wait, what are all these folders on the left hand side and what are all these files? You haven't told us anything about it. I'll be covering that in the next or maybe a video after that. But first, let's take a look at how we can share this project on GitHub, which happens to be one of the most important skills that you need to have in today's date if you want to be an Android programmer. So in this video, we will take a look at what is Git and GitHub, whereas in the next video, we will set them up on Android Studio and try to share our project on GitHub. So what is Git and GitHub? Just like you, I searched everywhere online and I found people writing some really complex stuff about this. It's pretty simple. So let's get down to the basics of why we need it first. I'm sure you guys have done this at some point in your lives where you're trying to make something final and you keep renaming it again and again because you're making corrections and changes to it. And this is what would happen without a version control system, as people call it. And there's another example here again that covers the same thing. I have done this myself 10 years ago. And when I was not aware of version control systems, this is the kind of mess I ended up with in my projects. But now let's take a look at what is a version control system. So you see, a version control system is something that lets you manage changes to files, that is documents, images, code, basically everything. So the first question you ask is, why? Well, it saves you from the trouble that you saw earlier where you create multiple backups of your folders. It allows multiple people to work on the same file, and most importantly, it tracks changes and who made those changes. Now this is very important if you're working on a complex app in your Android Studio, and it is easy to switch back to older versions as you require. Makes you more productive. Now enough with this jargon. Let's take a look at what are the types of version control systems that we can have. Now there are open source and proprietary systems. CVS, that stands for Concurrent Version Control Systems, and there is SVN, which is Apache Subversion. Now there are proprietary ones like IBM Rational, ClearCase, Perforce, etc. And most of these are client-server models. So instead of trying to understand what these products are, let's try to understand what a client-server model looks like, and then we will know its disadvantages or advantages immediately. So this is what a centralized or client-server version control system looks like. Let's say you and two of your friends are working on the Hello World app and you're editing the main activity, which is at, say, computer 1 or workstation 1. Your friends are working on XML files at workstation 2 and 3. Now as you make changes here inside your computer, you try to save those changes. The save is called commit, which gets updated on your server, which means when you add a line inside your main activity.java and save it, your friend on PC 2 and 3 will see that change immediately. The same way, when they are trying to change something on their computers, you would also expect to see that change immediately. This is what a centralized version control system simply means. Now if you take a look at the problem in this, there is a very simple idea. You see, they work on a central model in which users check in and check out. It is not available on local systems. In other words, if you go offline, if your internet doesn't work, or if your database on the server gets corrupted, then the entire history is lost. On the other hand, we have something called distributed version control system. Now let's take the same example with the help of a distributed version control system. You are on PC 1 editing the main activity.java file of your Hello World app currently. Your two friends are sitting on PC 2 and 3 and they are also working with the same project. Now remember that the project itself is stored on a central repository here, and everyone is having copies of that on their computers, which is why you see 3 repository folders here and there. Now whenever you are editing something and you save that change, that applies in the form of something called a commit to this local repository over here. In other words, you add a line inside your main activity.java, you hit save, there is a commit that happens, and your local repository is updated. Now the local repository pushes changes to the main repository on the server with the help of this push thing over here. Now if your friend wants to see the latest changes that you have made, he simply does a pull and gets the latest version of your repo available from the server itself. In other words, everyone is working on a separate copy independently, and all these three copies are kept in sync with the help of these push-pull commands that is going on. So the best part is, if the internet goes down, you don't have to do this part where you have your server and your client repo part coming in contact with each other. If your internet is out, you simply update your local repository. Later, when the net is available, you can go and update your main server repository. And that is why DVCS doesn't have a single point of failure, as each user has the repository with your complete history. Now it allows you to perform all the actions locally even when not connected to the internet. Now Git is a distributed version control system. So what is Git? Git is a DVCS made by Linus Torvalds. It is free and open source, blazingly fast because you don't need a server connection all the time, distributed because all your friends have a copy as well, and data assurance because the system server ensures that everybody sees the correct copy or the appropriate changes at the right time. So you're wondering, what does Git look like? This is a simple diagram of Git. It has something called a working directory, staging area, and repository. You add files from the directory to the staging area, and you commit them from the staging area to the repository. So the question, what are all these things, and what is add and what is commit? Let's take a look at these in detail. So what is the working directory? Right now, your Hello World app is stored somewhere on the hard drive, which you're currently editing inside Android Studio. That is the working directory. So if your friend changes some XML files and you try to load those changes, then you will see them happen inside your working directory. In other words, you will get those files as a checkout inside your working directory. The staging area is a file that stores information about what goes into your next commit. Simple words, if you add 5 new files to your project and if you modify 3 of them, that means 8 files have been changed. Now these changes need to be reflected before you save to Git, and that is what the staging area talks about. It is also called the index because it contains a list of things to be saved for the next version of your project. So here, the Git directory is the local folder on your computer inside which all your files are committed or saved as per Git. So to understand the Git directory in simple words, let's say your friend made a calculator app and he has all the source code for that. Now if you want that source code, what you would do is something called git clone. In other words, copy his project. Now when you copy his project, the contents will be taken from his Git directory or repository to your computer's working directory where you will be editing it. So a simple question, how do you work with Git? Simple. You take the files from your working directory and you modify them. You make a list of all the files that need to be saved for the next version of your app or project. Once you are aware of the list, you simply do a commit, which would take all the files that are modified. Modified means added, changed, removed, everything. And those changes are updated inside your Git's local directory. So the next question, what is GitHub? GitHub is an online Git repository hosting service. In other words, it provides you with all the capabilities of Git online. You can save your project on their repository, which is stored on their servers, and you can do all the stuff like commit, pull, push, which you would normally do with Git. Now it has millions of repos out there, and it provides stuff like code comparison, code sync, Git shell, etc. So in this video, I have shown you what is Git and what is GitHub from a high level. If some of the things are not so clear, don't worry about them, because in the next video, we will install Git and upload our Hello World project to GitHub, which is when everything will be crystal clear. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a nice day.